Hello. This is the 115th Test from the Future, a weekly podcast from the year 2223, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk, and there is no Simon, and we're putting the past in podcast. When I'm saying there is no Simon, there is a Simon, just not here with me right now on Venus. Yes, I am still on Venus, where I was last week, and I wasn't supposed to be still on Venus. So just to get it out of the way, there's been a strike, and there is still a strike going on, and I haven't been able to leave. So who's striking? These are the ground workers at Venus, so mostly manning the shuttle station, so there hasn't been a shuttle leaving or departing, at least not a normal shuttle anyway. And they've been striking for better pay, better work conditions, understandably so. But it's been going on for a week. And since then, me and all the other conference attendees and other guests here at Venus have been stuck. No new guests coming in and no guests leaving. So besides not being able to transport off the planet, they've also cut all communications. Apparently ground workers, the ground crew are pretty much in charge of everything. So we haven't been able to communicate away from Venus either. So I haven't actually spoken to Simon for a couple of days. Luckily I brought the portable low fidelity wave burner, so I might just be able to send this podcast back to the past, and I just am not able to speak with Simon during the episode. So it could just be that Simon is doing the same thing right now, recording by himself and sending it back in time. Then we'll have 2 episodes, or maybe we'll just have one. Maybe this one doesn't even go back in time to you, the 21st century. So for those who carefully listened to last week's episode, I didn't realize at the time, but I mentioned one particular train passing by at the time. This was filled with relatively angry looking workers. They had just decided they were going to go on strike, so they were basically on their way to shut everything down. So we basically got our episode recorded and sent off right on time, because I think within an hour everything was shut down. So I'm still at the botanical garden in the dome in Venus. There are still birds, you may hear them, although last time I was in the early evening, now it's in the middle of the day, and they seem to be quieter. There's no trains anymore, so they've stopped the trains as well, but there's all kinds of smaller carriages going back and forward over the track, so they make a much more smoother noise somehow, and they're also much smaller, and I have no idea what's going on with them, so not sure if you can hear any of that in the background, but as I understood from the listeners, that you could hear some of it last week. Interesting, actually. I've been able to read emails but not contact Earth. Funny how that works. So we're basically stuck on Venus at the time, and it's not really a bad thing because the botanical garden is pretty cool, but the strikers have been tinkering with the climate inside the dome as well, and it's been hotter the last couple of days, and I think the whole idea is that they have this strike right now when the UFO Pool conference was here. There were a few other famous guests, semi-famous guests, semi-important guests here besides the conference, and they took the opportunity. This is the right time because striking now will get a lot more media attention, which it does because we're all still stuck here, and to put a little bit more emphasis on their demands, they've been slightly, you could almost say they've been treating us like hostages, although they don't say that. It doesn't really feel that way, but still it's been definitely hotter inside the dome, and obviously we're relying a little bit on supplies from out there. Normally there's constantly shuttles coming and leaving, so some things have basically not been resupplied. Obviously, water is in short demand on Venus here. Everything outside of the dome immediately evaporates, so I've been rationing this a little bit, which also means no showering. So there hasn't been a lot of showering going on, and if you can imagine, it's a little bit hotter. People have been here way longer than they planned to. They can't shower. The mood isn't particularly great at the time. All the food is still produced outside of the dome because it's cheaper, and that's also their basically their USP. But you know, all the drinks are hot, all the food is hot, everything is hot. And as a funny side effect, I don't think this comes over in the recording, but there's constant rustling in the grass around me. That is because the red rats have been way more active. The theory of my fellow conference attendees is basically that they've been eating on the things that we throw away here, but because everything is rationed, there's not a lot of waste to live from, so a lot of the red rats have been basically coming much closer to where we are in the hope that they get the odd snack. So you see them running in the distance and climbing the pipes and on the inside of the dome, walking across the ceiling and stuff like that. It's actually pretty cool because they're really fast and they're bright red. So just hope that they don't get any closer than that. Yeah, so that's a slight sneak peek into the strike situation. I hope next week everything will be back to normal again. I'm sure it will be. As we know from the future, everything is organized pretty well, and things always work out in the end. Totally. That's what the future is about. In the end, everything works out. So, with that, I wish you goodbye and see you in 200 years. Bye.